Hello and welcome back to another World Tanks console video. So in this video, I'm going to be going through the top 10 best DPM tanks in World War II for World of Tanks Modern Armor. So basically, I did this with the shells that penetrate armor. So high explosive is out of the question and artillery is not a part of this list. Let's just start off the list. So number 10 is actually the Sturret Swan 103B at 3077 DPM. Now, I don't actually own the Sturret Swan 103B, so I'm going to talk about the number 11 spot, which is the Conway, which also has a DPM of 3076 DPM. It is one hit point away from equaling the Sturret Swan 103B. There's just one hit point away. And yes, we are starting this high off at 3077 or 76 DPM for the number 10th and number 11 spot. So the Conway has 3076 DPM with its 120 millimeter gun. And it's a really good gun, 400 damage per shot. It's actually the same gun that the Tortoise used. And the Conway, it's a great tank, 10 degrees of gun depression, and it also gets another gun, a 5.5 inch gun, that also has really good damage. So you have two really good guns on the tank, on the Conway. It also has a fully traversable turret. And its mobility is actually quite nice at a 40 forward, 15 reverse, and at 18.62 horsepower per ton. So let's talk about the Sturret Swan 103B, since it is the number 11 spot, number 10 spot. Sturret Swan 103B with 3077 DPM, really good gun depression at 13 degrees while in siege mode, and 15 degrees in elevation while in siege mode. Its mobility is really great, 50 forward, 45 in reverse in drive mode. 390 damage and one of the stealthiest TDs in the game. So let's move on to the number 9 spot, which is a tier 9 tank, which is the Waffenträger Panzer IV. Now the Waffenträger Panzer IV, its DPM comes from the stock gun using the 12.8 centimeter, which is probably one of the best ways to play the Waffenträger Panzer IV. With the stock turret with the 12.8 centimeter gun. And yeah, this is the 12.8 centimeter L61 gun, since there are two 12.8 centimeters on this tank, with 3080 DPM, which only beats out the Sturret Swan and the Conway by 3 to 4 damage per shot. This is a very stealthy tank that also has really good gun depression. It has 5 degrees over the front. So let's move on to the number 8 spot. Now, the number 8 spot is actually the only heavy tank, and also the only non-TD on this list. And it's a heavy tank, and it's the tier 10 American heavy tank, and it's the only autoloader on this list, which is the T57 Heavy. It has 3096 DPM, 3096 DPM. Does 400 damage per shot with a reload of 25 seconds, but it has a 1600 damage potential in its clip. Also, I was doing a tier 10 heavy tournament, and for some reason this tank got voted out, the first tank to get voted out. Don't know why. It's like the best tier 10 heavy. It's classified as overpowered, but it got outvoted. Don't know. Who knows? So let's move on to the number 7. Now this tank, people do classify as overpowered. And it is a tier 10 premium tank. And I believe it is the only tier 10 premium tank on this list. It is. And that is the SU-152 Tehran. This tank is known for its great mobility, its great concealment, its high alpha at 950, but also it has pretty good DPM at 3097. Does 950 damage with a 18.4 second reload. Its mobility, 63 forward, 18 reverse. Free range does suck at 390, but you can always boost that up. So now we go to the number 6 spot. 6 spot? 9, 8, 7. Yes, 6 spot. Now there is a two-way tide here. Now the two-way tide, they're both tier 7 Soviet tank destroyers. And they both are using the same exact gun. Those are the ISU-122S, which is a tier 7 Soviet premium tank, and the SU-152. And they are both using the 122mm D25 Mod 1944 gun, with a DPM of 3,163. Both tanks play very similar. Both tanks, really good guns. But the SU-152 is a tech tree tank, which means it can get different guns. It has a 152mm gun, and yeah. Both tanks are non-turreted. So let's move on to the next tank, which is the number 5th spot. And now we're going back up to tier 10. From tier 7 all the way back up to tier 10. And this tank has 3,188 DPM. It is no other than the Object 268, a tier 10 Soviet tank destroyer that hits 850 damage on its shot. Also has a DPM of 3,188. This Object 268 has great damage per shot, great DPM, great frontal armor, and also pretty good mobility, but it does not have a turret to boot. So let's move on to the number 4 spot. Now, the number 4 spot we're going down to the SU-122-54, the tier 9 Soviet tank destroyer. Now, to get its DPM at 3,249 DPM, you gotta drop to the stock gun, which is a 122mm D49 gun. Even though it's a stock gun, it still has decent stats for tier 9. With 390 damage per shot, the DPM of 3,249. Its penetration is 246 on its standard, 311 on its premium, 65 on its high explosives. So yeah, it's got no turret, and it has okay armor. Its concealment is really good. Its mobility, it goes 54 forward and 18 reverse, and a terrible view range. 3 spot is the AT-15, a tier 8 British tank destroyer. Now, to get its 3,365 DPM, you got a fully upgraded this tank with the 20-pounder AT gun type B barrel with 3,365 DPM. Does 230 damage per shot. Penetration is 226 on its standard, 258 on its premium, 42 on its high explosive. The AT-15 is pretty slow, but actually has pretty decently good armor. And it has no turret, but also terrible view range and terrible concealment. Now, we're going to move to the tier 9 spot, which is the tier 10 UK tank destroyer, which is the FV217 Badger. The Badger has 3,389 DPM with 480 damage per shot and 227 penetration on its standard, 330 on its premium, and great frontal armor, and its speed is slow at 30 forward, 12 reverse, but it has amazing frontal armor, but no turret. So now we're going to go to the number 1 spot. The number 1 spot is the Tortoise. The Tortoise can boast 3,450 DPM with the 20-pounder AT gun type B barrel, which is the gun that does 230 damage. It's the same gun that the AT-15 has, but put at tier 9 and bump it up its DPM. It's the highest DPM of World War II at 3,450. And let's say you don't want to use this gun. What about the other 2 guns on the Tortoise? Well, now if you fully upgrade the gun fully upgraded the Tortoise and put the 120mm gun, you get 3,380 DPM, which puts the Tortoise down to 3rd place, but barely below the Badger. The Badger has 3,389, which is in 2nd place, and that would put the the Tortoise at 3rd place at 3,380 with 9 less DPM. This gun is 400 damage per shot. Great gun. Very great gun. And it's the gun I recommend playing on this tank. Now, what about the stock gun? The 32-pounder AT gun. 3,360 DPM, which will put you down in the 4th spot. So basically, the Tortoise, it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter what gun you're using. You are always in the top 10 and top 5 best DPM tanks in the game, in World War II. Anyway, that's it for this video. Remember, like, comment, subscribe. Also, remember to SLAPAFISH because we're shot. And peace out, see ya.